चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. So we continue with the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 1, verse 14. Tatasvete hoye yukte mahati sangtane stito madhava pandavascheva divyo shankyo pratatmatuhu. Then seated in their great chariot, harnessed to white horses, Madhava, Sri Krishna, and the son of Pandu, Arjuna, blew their divine conches. So we have the Lord Krishna, controlling the chariot. He has in his hands the reins to these 5 white horses. These 5 white horses, what do they represent? They represent the senses. So he's controlling. He has Arjuna in the back, on the chariot. He's the one that's firing the arrows. But yet Krishna is steering. He's controlling the direction of where the chariot's going. Throughout the battle, he's ensuring that he keeps Arjuna safe, steering him away from danger, getting him into those tight bits, getting him back out again. So he's navigating, changing direction all the time to keep Arjuna on track, to reach his goal. So Krishna's making constant changes all the time. It takes change to come onto the spiritual path. We make changes in our life, we come onto the spiritual path, but then, is that it? Is that all the change is up? We just continue onwards without making any changes? Or does it require more change? There's a lot of people who come onto the spiritual path but leave. Why? Because on the spiritual path, it's not just change every once in a while. If you're dedicated and sincere, and Guruji wants us to make big changes in our lives, to be examples to others, then it takes deep and continuous change. And that requires continuous effort. It doesn't just happen once and that's it. No, continuous effort. That's why he's given us sadhana, to steer the senses. Once there was a lady who came to Sri Pithanlaya. She came for a few darshans, and like a few people, I guess, she stood in the lobby, and Guruji walked past her. He didn't even look at her, didn't even talk with her. And after a few trips here, she was quite upset. She was crying. She went to one of the Swamis in the lobby, and she started, giving all of her emotions, and Guruji doesn't look at me, he doesn't even talk to me, he doesn't like me. And the Swami said, where do you come from? She said, Austria. He said, okay. He said, well, how much time do you spend with Guruji in Austria? She said, what do you mean? He said, that's the problem. He said, how much time do you spend talking with him, being with him where you are at home or at work? She said, I don't. He said, that's it. That's what you need to change. He said, take a picture every day, even if it's for 5 minutes. Sit next to the picture with Guruji and talk with him like he's really there. And he said, every day, continuously. So she goes back to Austria. She puts it into practice. Every day she's talking with the picture of Guruji. She's telling Guruji about what happened in her day, about her difficulties. Next darshan, she comes back. She's standing in the lobby. And this time is different. Instead of Guruji just walking past, not even looking at her, he walks directly up to her and starts talking. She's shocked. She doesn't know what to say. Have you had that time when Guruji comes up to you and he talks to you? Sometimes Guruji asks the people, what's your name? And the people just say, don't know. Sometimes he makes you fall so much into your heart, the brain is no longer working, the mind is no longer working. Well, that's a good thing. But the two have to be connected. So this change happened. Guruji walked straight up to her. As a result of her practicing that relationship with the Master, being more in connection, he responded to that straight away. So spiritual practice, being on the spiritual path, takes continuous change. Now the question is, am I doing that? Am I working on that? Am I sincere to my spiritual path? That's the question that we should all ask ourselves. If you've been with Guruji for a month, 12 years, doesn't matter. Another hard question, am I wasting my time? I can attest to that. I have wasted time. I have to make up for it. Another hard question, how much time do I have left? How much time do you have left? Does anybody know? No. That's the difficult thing. That's the scary thing. You don't know if you're going to be here for another day, a month, 2 years. So we can't waste this time with Guruji. We don't know how long he's going to be here for. We can't waste this time. Time is so precious. A few years ago, I was in Czech. I was the country Swami for Czech. And I was there, did a weekend program. And we finished the Friday night's program. We went out for dinner afterwards with Jagadishan and a couple of other people. And he was going through a difficult time. We talked. And he wasn't feeling so well. So he said, maybe I'll miss out Saturday's program. I'm not sure if I come on Sunday. I said, okay, no problem. So the trip finishes. I arrive back in Sri Pittanalaya. Just before I'm about to walk into the apartment block, I get a call. I open the phone. It's his wife on the telephone. So I said, yeah, Jai Gurudev, you know. She says, Anashuya, I've got to tell you something. I'm like, okay, I thought this was strange. She says, Jagadishan, he's passed away. I said, what? She says, yeah, he's died. I said, how's that possible? I was just with him. How did he die? She said, they're not sure yet, but he was found in his hotel room. He's just passed away. And that was a shock. It was a good shock for me, in a sense. It's a wake-up call to remind ourselves that you don't know how much time you're going to have. You don't know when the clock's ticking, but when it's going to finish ticking. So we come to the question, what am I going to do about it? If I don't know how much time I've got left, what am I going to do about this? What opportunities am I going to take with Guruji? Guruji told me some years ago, you know, God is always talking with you, but you don't listen. There have been times when Guruji told me directly to my face something, and yet I didn't want to hear. Now, that's strange, isn't it? We have Guruji, he's an incarnation of divine love. His work is to open people's hearts to bring more love into their life, more of that divine love. So if he challenges us and tells us something and we don't listen, he's doing that for our benefit, right? Or for the benefit of others, right? So why would we choose not to listen? It's a good question to ask. The thing is, he has to take us and he has to prod us. He has to move us out of our comfort zone. How many of us really want to change when we're comfortable? Everything's going fine. No, life's good, isn't it? How many people want to come into and meet Guruji himself, into Bhakti Marga? I know in some countries, everybody's doing very well. Guruji travels there, and there's not many people interested because they all have a very nice, comforting lifestyle. They're all doing good. They have good jobs, good lifestyles and stuff like this. They don't need spirituality. Life is good. Material world is great. But yet those people who suffer, those people who come into difficulties in their life, a lot of people, they run to the Master. People who have got no options left in life, they run to the Master. So Guruji, when he puts us out of our comfort zone, When life puts us out of our comfort zone, it's a great opportunity. Why? It gives us a different perspective. When we're in that place of discomfort, we can look at ourselves in a different way, from a different perspective. It gives us the possibility or the chance to change. Now, there was one lady who came here several years ago, young lady, and she was in a difficult position. She had cancer. She was quite young. And she went to the doctors. She was getting medication treatment. She said to Guruji, "What should I do? Am I doing enough?" And he said, "There's one thing that you need to do. One thing that you need to put into practice." He said, "Think positively." He didn't tell her anything else. Think positively. And he was really clear. So she went home and she put this into practice on a daily basis, continuous effort. And day by day, the thought pattern started changing. Her thinking was changing. And after a while, the body was completely clear. No more cancer. She was cured. So Arjuna was seated with Krishna in the chariot, and they blew their divine conches. Guruji stated that this denotes that when one shows interest in changing, the Lord himself gives strength, power, energy, and faith to that person who is willing to change. Note, who is willing to change. Guruji said many times, he's met thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, and he can't change those who are not willing to change. He will not force them. But if you want to open the heart and to experience more love in your life, he can help. Is there anybody here who doesn't want more love in your life? Put your hand up. Oh, okay, one lady. Okay, fair enough. Okay, you're in the wrong place. So the point is that we all want more love, right? Are we willing to change for that? That's the question. But the important, let's say, word in this sentence is faith. Guruji said, the Lord himself gives strength, power, energy, and faith to that person who is willing to change. That's the catch. Some of us, we don't know how to change. We're too frightened. We're unsure. What's going to happen? Am I going to lose everything? So faith is needed. But we have to be, let's say, truthful to ourselves. How many of us, we sweep the dirt underneath the carpet, or we hide it in the closet, the things we don't want to look at, and we keep the closet door closed, and we think, it's okay. Perhaps when we go for darshan, we look into Guruji's eyes, and we think, I hope he doesn't let me know that he really knows what I know. I hope he just smiles and gives me a nice, reassuring words. He might do. He might play the game with you, and he sees everything. You can't fool him. So who are you really playing with? Are you playing with him or are you playing with yourself? Because he's not going to push you. He's not going to force you. But if you're honest and you want to take the dirt from underneath the carpet, or you want to open that cupboard and look to see what's inside and address these things, he's going to give you the power. He's going to give you the strength. He's going to give you the courage. And he's going to give you the faith. So it's about knowing yourself. Once I was in the bungalow with Guruji, and he's got in his bungalow, he's got a few pictures on his wall, different saints. Some of them died 500, 1,000 years ago. And I said to Guruji, I was curious, how well do you know the saints? And he said, within the blink of an eye, he said, I know the saints better than I know you. I was shocked. How is that possible? I've been with him for 9 years. I've lived in his ashram. I've eaten his food. I've traveled with him. We've shared the same room. I've been sitting at his feet for 9 years. And he knows somebody who's died 500 years ago better than he knows me? I was thinking, that wasn't the answer I was expecting. I didn't want that answer. So I didn't want to ask. I didn't want to pursue it further. But Guruji did. He said, do you know why? And I didn't want to hear it, but I had nowhere to run. He said, because the saints, they're the best friends with God. There's nothing between them and God. And I knew it was true. He was calling me out of all the stuff I'd placed between myself and him in our relationship, where I'd been hiding stuff. I'd had stuff shoved under the carpet or under the bed, you know. I was not really truthful. I was hiding stuff. It's difficult to be around a master like Guruji when he knows everything about you. And when you know that he knows, then you're like, sometimes, oops, what do I do? How do I handle this? But he's so merciful. He gives his darshan to us time and time again. He helps us to change. He gives us mercy in so many ways. One day Guruji was traveling, and he went into the lobby of a very large hotel, huge lobby. And on the other side of the lobby was the lift, and there was a devotee standing, waiting for him. Loads of space, open. So instead of walking to the lift, he takes another direction, and he walks straight towards a group of businessmen. These businessmen are so entrenched in there talking about business, they're busy, and Guruji's there with his 2 suitcases. So he's walking, and he walks into the crowd of businessmen, and he starts banging them with his shoulders, pulling his way through the businessmen. He even blesses them by taking his suitcase and rolling them over their feet. Of course, when somebody takes their suitcase and rolls it over your feet, what do? You smile at them, don't you? Of course not. These businessmen, they weren't too happy. This Indian man banging into them, rolling his suitcases over their feet. He breaks his way out of the group of businessmen, and he makes his way to the lift. Quite strange, huh? So Guruji's going up in the lift with his devotee, and his devotee says, Guruji, what was all that about? And he goes, well, you know, these businessmen, they're so steeped, they're so entrenched in materialism, they would have never seen me, so I had to give them my darshan. Yep. So he gives his grace in so many ways. He gives the possibility, even though that I don't know whether they had worked for that potential to meet him or not. And they wouldn't have seen him, but he gave them the darshan. He gave them his mercy. And that's what the master does. Like Krishna sitting in the chariot, he's always going to steer us out of harm's way if we're willing to listen. It's not us that's in control. It's Guruji. He is the controller, Ishvara, God, who's controlling all things. He has all the balls in his hand. He's the best juggler that there is. Forget the jugglers in the circus. You have Guruji. He can juggle so many things, and he can juggle your life perfectly. He can get you to the end goal perfectly. So have that faith. Cultivate that surrender. And if there's anything that you've swept under the carpet, look at it. Have the courage. And he will give you the courage. He'll give you the strength. He'll give you the power. He'll give you the faith. Jai Gurudev.